It has begun, my friends. Gavin Newsom has signed a bill that bans memes. This is the breaking news last night, and there is a bit of nuance to this. Of course, the corporate press is going to say, fact check, false. The bill in question actually says that parody and satire are exempted from a bill that aims to ban deepfake election manipulation. However, anyone with, an ounce of discernment, I guess, or the perspicacity, that's a better word for it, would understand Gavin Newsom said in response to a meme post we're seeing now, my friends, is that with Hillary Clinton calling for people to be arrested and criminally charged for speech, so it has begun here in these United States, as we have seen overseas in Europe. They are attempting to ban memes, to arrest people for memes. And you know what? They've already done it. Douglas Mackey, you know the guy. You've probably heard his story. He made a meme about texting to vote. He posted on a social media account. I think he had 58,000 followers, not the biggest account ever. And he was convicted. They said it was a crime, manipulating the interfering, whatever. This is the game they're playing. You want to make a joke on the internet? Here's the funny thing about what happened with Douglas Mackey. He makes this image and it says, text whatever to vote. He sent it out to Trump supporters, his followers, as a clear and obvious joke. And they said, you were trying to interfere and manipulate. So this is what we're seeing now. LA Times says this is actually, it exempts parody and satire. And that's the game they're going to play because they know they have to. But in reality, they are seeking to criminalize jokes, things that can take down the narrative. And that's why yesterday I covered this story, Hillary Clinton saying she wants to arrest, or there should be criminal or civil penalties for people who spread misinformation, which I find quite humorous. I've got this great article from Jonathan Turley saying, didn't she fund the Steele dossier? Maybe she's feeling guilty. So we'll talk about that. We got a bunch more stories, my friends, many more. It looks like polls from Gallup following the debate, Donald Trump's favorability increased. Don't believe the lies and the manipulations. Now, it's hard to know exactly what's going on with this election and who's winning and whatever. I don't know. But right now we have a poll from Gallup. It's going back and forth. Many people are saying, look, Kamala Harris is up in the polls. Trump is down. The betting markets are favoring Kamala, blah, blah, blah. Nate Silver is still predicting a Donald Trump victory. But Gallup has shown that after the debate, Trump's favorability improved. And I predicted this. Remember what I said? They took a guy and a lady, and they had each of them flip the debate. They had a woman play Donald Trump in the debate and a man play Hillary Clinton. And people did not like the snooty, condescending behavior of Hillary Clinton, whether it was a woman or a man. They thought it was going to be sexism. They thought if we have a man act like Hillary Clinton and read her lines, people are going to like the man. And they didn't. What they liked was, be it Trump or a woman, they liked someone saying, you are causing these problems. We have to save this country. They wanted to see that someone was passionate about doing something about these problems. Kamala Harris instead gave us Yeah, nobody liked that. We'll talk about that. Plus, updates on the exploding pager story. This is crazy. Israel is now, numerous reports saying Israel intercepted a shipment of pagers, planted small explosives on them, and detonated thousands. There are a lot of people who are screaming, saying, how dare Israel? This is terrorism. And it's a big debate here. There's also some really funny posts. There's this one guy who was like, I want to save it a little bit, but he was just like, this action by Israel is terror. And now, our phones and our security systems could be a threat to us. And someone's just like, our? Like, who do you think Israel was targeting? Now, I know a lot of people are deeply critical, and I was talking about this the other day, the fear and I suppose the collateral damage. People are walking in marketplaces and that's dangerous stuff. But we'll talk about the nuance there. And then, of course, we have I have more updates for you on the Matt Walsh Am I Racist story. The media blackout continues. Matt Walsh's Am I Racist officially certified gray. Rotten Tomatoes is refusing, we talked about it yesterday, refusing to update this with a positive critic score. It should be 100%. I will stress, from the critics and from the audience, Am I Racist should be 99%, both ends, but they're not updating it. They are losing their minds. But I'm not just trying to rehash the same story. Matt Walsh has addressed concerns over the use of manipulative tactics, which is one of the biggest criticisms that he's received, manipulating people into looking like fools. So we'll talk about all of that today, my friends. Make sure you smash that like button. Head over to castbrew.com. Buy Cast Brew coffee. It is the best dang coffee you will ever have. Look at this. We got a bunch of different flavors. Colombian has popped up since we have retired Mr. Boca's Pumpkin Spice Experience. And you can see here Ian's Graphene Dream as well. Looks like Appalachian Nights Ground has been sold out, but we will get it restocked, my friends, because we know you love it. There is still Mr. Boca's Pumpkin Spice K-Cups, which I completely missed. I missed that. And there's quite a bit, so you're still able to get it. But the original bags have been retired. Now, it has been brought to my attention because my team is saying, no, Tim, stop saying there's no more. You cannot buy the bags single item anymore. That's the inventory that ran out. But we had separate inventory for subscriptions and the coffee club. So there still exist bags. You just can't buy them directly. And that's my bad. But it's because people who have subscriptions, we have a separate allotment so that your subscriptions come in on a regular basis and other people can't buy out inventory when you've already subscribed to it. There we go. We're back. Internet is back. Everyone put your F's in chat because the internet just went down, but hopefully everything just keeps working. Team should be on it. But anyway, as I digress, Timcast.com, click join us. The lawsuit against Kamala Harris has been filed. You can read it in full. The documents should be up all over the place because, there you go. You can see news from SCNR. They know they are lying. Tim Pool files lawsuit against Kamala Harris campaign over alleged defamatory X post. Well, I don't know that I would call it alleged. I am asserting my position here. It is defamatory and egregious. But I got to tell you, my friends, these things are very difficult. It is difficult. It is expensive. It's time consuming. And I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to push back on the lies of the Harris campaign, egregious lies. You just look at the document. The arguments are there. Timestamps from the show where I outright say these people didn't commit treason. I don't believe in the death penalty. It is shocking that they knew that the episode was off YouTube, still on Rumble, by the way, indicating that they had done some research into this. So Timcast.com, click join us, become a member. You can support us there. But let's talk about the banning of memes. And hopefully the internet stops cutting out. But I'll do my best. Hopefully we get our team on this. And I'm going to make sure, just in case, we get everything cleared out. Apologies for the delay as we're trying to get this sorted. Early in the morning, what can we do, right? I'll just do this. Let me send a quick message to everybody. Internet is cutting out. I think it's us because there's a storm. So we'll just see if we can get someone to check on that because we have backups. But anyway, let's jump into this main story for you guys. Enough waiting. Gavin Newsom signs AI-related bills regulating Hollywood actor replicas and deepfakes. This is, as I would describe it, the banning of memes. The banning of memes. As many people have stated, this is the banning of memes, and the media is lying to you. And I'm going to break down how they're lying to you. And this is why the establishment does not like these independent channels. It's why they don't like me, because what they're trying to pass off here in California, Gavin Newsom, signing a handful of artificial intelligence-related bills that would give actors more protection over their digital likeness and fight against the spread of deepfakes in political ads, among other regulations aimed at the fast-rising technology. Quote, they were important election integrity bills that are long overdue, Newsom said in an interview at Dreamforce, a San Francisco conference hosted by business software giant Salesforce. The election's happening. Early voting is happening. These bills were urgent for me to get done. At least one of the new laws could play into this year's presidential election, which has already seen an online proliferation of deepfake political endorsements and videos featuring false videos of candidates. Here's the lie. One of the new laws, AB 2839, aims to curb manipulated content that could harm a candidate's reputation or public confidence in an election's outcome, with the exception of parody and satire. I want to make sure for the record I have stated as such, that it says as such. I will show you the bill reading as such, and then I'll explain to you why they're lying and what the manipulation is. Under the legislation, a candidate election committee or elections officials could seek a court order to get deepfakes pulled down. They could also sue the person who distributed or republished the deceptive material for damages. The other bills include AB 2655, which requires technology platforms to have procedures for identifying, removing, and labeling fake content. This also exempts parody, satire, and news outlets that meet certain requirements. AB 2355 requires a committee that creates a political ad to disclose if it was generated or substantially altered using AI. What this means is, so far, it doesn't look like it's going to be a crime. They're trying to get big tech platforms to have to remove it under civil litigation, and you would be civilly responsible. I believe, I'm pretty sure that's what Newsom was saying about civil action against you. They say one recent deepfake victim was Taylor Swift. Trump shared a post on social media platform Truth Social that implied Swift had endorsed him when she had not. So we'll pull that one up. We'll see what, if they show the image here. I doubt, okay, they're not going to let us see it. All right, well, then we're not going to look at it. Recently, I was made aware of AI of me falsely endorsing Trump, blah, blah, blah. The bills that Newsom signed into law also address concerns that were raised during last year's Hollywood strikes led by Performers Guild SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America, which fought for protections for actors and writers who worried that their jobs could be taken away by advances in artificial intelligence technology. Two of the laws that Newsom signed would give performers more protections over their digital likeness. One prohibits and penalizes the making and distribution of a deceased person's digital replica without permission from their estate. This is where we're getting into the banning of memes, because it's broad, my friends. It's a broad subject. All right, what we're looking at is that maybe you want to mock a high-profile personality they deem to be a celebrity. No, it's prohibited. And there are penalties for distributing a deceased person's digital replica without permission from their estate. So if I want to make a gag video of Darth Vader, like stealing candy bars from a grocery store and then being stopped by a cop as he's crossing the street, they're going to say, you don't have the rights to use the likeness of James Earl Jones. Disney bought his voice. You can't do it. Satire and parody is allowed. But hold on, my friends. You may be saying, Tim, they outright say that. They say that parody and satire is exempted. Let me show you in which they actually do say that. We'll jump over to the actual bill here, and you can see, notwithstanding paragraph 1, this section does not apply to an advertiser or other election communication containing materially deceptive content that constitutes satire or parody. If the communication includes a disclosure stating, quote, this blank has been manipulated for purposes of satire or parody. The disclosure shall comply with the requirements set forth in subparagraphs A and B of paragraph 2. Indeed. No, you can't just make parody or satire. You have to put a big tag on it and let people know it's parody or satire, which I got to tell you often ruins the joke. Ruins the joke, as it were. But you know what? We'll come back to this. The bills that are being signed, you need to understand, this is not just about banning memes either. Take a look at this. The first section of the bill, proceedings in cases involving the registration or denial of registration of voters, the certification or denial of certification of candidates, the certification or denial of certification of ballot measures, election contests, actions under section 20010, et cetera, shall be placed on the calendar in the order of their date filing and shall be given precedence. Most of the provisions here are about moving up cases involving the denial of registration or certification. The meme thing, I think, is smoke and mirrors to distract people, and they're going to create a debate around whether or not memes are actually being banned. When I then come out and say yes, they do want to restrict, ban, and penalize memes and parody, they come back and say, no, it says that's exempt. We're just asking for a label. Here you go. Take a look at this story from KCRA3, NBC. Fake Kamala Harris video prompts latest beef between Gavin Newsom and Elon Musk. And here we go. The quote, manipulating a voice in an ad like this should be illegal. Newsom posted on X Sunday night. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure it is. Gavin Newsom outright said in response to a gag meme video that was shared by Elon Musk that it should be illegal, and he will be signing a bill to make it illegal. And here's the video in question.
I, Kamala Harris, and your Democrat candidate for president, because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility of the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of...
All right, you get the point. Basically, what we're looking at here is a gag video of Kamala Harris saying she's inept, she's a diversity hire, Joe Biden's a puppet. All of these things are derogatory and obvious satire. And now I'm going to tell you why Gavin Newsom is a psychopath. They want to ban memes. He said he wants to make it illegal, and he will. They include a stupid thing being like, just tag it as parody. Okay. So is your argument, I can make a video showing Kamala Harris saying, once I'm elected, I am going to reduce Social Security benefits. And then right at the end saying, this ad brought to you by Kamala Harris. And then it says under it, this is parody or satire. You know, you do these ads and you'll see these political ads and it'll say, you know, this ad is paid for, endorsed by whatever PAC. They have to disclose that. So you just make that little bar say, this is parody and satire. Spare me, okay? They're not going to let you do that. That will never be allowed. They're going to say, no, that one crosses the line. If you made an ad, a fake ad mocking Kamala Harris saying, I think criminals should be released and police should be defunded. Fracking should be banned. These are positions I've long held, and I will, as on day one as president, these are the things I will fight for. This ad is brought to you by Kamala Harris. And then it says on the bottom, parody. They're going to say, no. That one. Well, hold on. Do you really believe they'll let something like that slide? No, they won't. They will not. But here's the biggest takeaway, and I'll tell you exactly why it is an impossibility to ban this. Am I allowed to say the radical left, Kamala Harris, comrade, she's going to ban fracking. It's not very good. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I have the best Trump impersonation ever. I do it silly on purpose. But my point is this. There are many individuals who are very, very good at impersonating Donald Trump. So if I were to make a video and show a bunch of clips of Donald Trump and said, you know, what I want to do is more fracking, the radical left, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be like, that's manipulated audio. And then what if I'm like, no, actually, that was me. That was my voice the whole time. It wasn't AI. How do you differentiate between someone who's really good at doing an impression and deepfake AI technology? You cannot do it. What if, how about this? Have you ever seen those bad lip reading videos that went viral several years ago? What they would do is they would take a video of Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Barack Obama, whoever. They would mute the volume and then someone would just speak. This guy who made the videos would speak as if he was saying what the president was saying or the politician. And so when they would say things like, you know, listen up there, mister, you got to do this. The guy would say, listen up there, blister, you got cheese puffs. And it's like nonsense. Is that going to be banned? Well, what if someone can't tell the tonal difference? What if I do that and do an impression? This is impossible. It is impossible to do this. Now, I do believe this will likely be overturned or shut down. They're going to lose on appeal because you can't navigate this space this way. It is up to the individual to determine whether or not they're getting correct information. And we can't just act like there has to be big daddy nanny government who's going to intervene every time to tell you what's true and what's not true. The government should not be in the business of determining what is true or what's not. I will also give a shout out to Twitter. Look at that, right on the right side. We got trending politics. Tim Pool's lost it against Kamala Harris. Everybody's talking about it. But I want to do this. My friends. Here we go. Hillary Clinton says some Americans who share political misinformation should be criminally charged. We'll give a shout out to Jonathan Turley. Hillary Clinton calls for the arrest of Americans spreading disinformation. Do you think, with what Hillary Clinton is advocating for, that it stops with, no, just label your memes and then you're good? Absolutely not. I give you the case of Douglas Mackey. You've probably heard the story. Douglas Mackey, born in 89 or 90, is an American social media influencer, posted under the alias Ricky Vaughn. They say Mackey operated several accounts under the Ricky Vaughn persona, inspired by Charlie Sheen's character, blah, blah, blah. He was part of several private pro-Trump group chats where members brainstormed ways to influence the election. They discussed ways to frame Hillary Clinton as a warmonger, Frame her! Oh my God, I love Wikipedia. Anyway, in 2016, Mackey promoted internet memes, claiming it was possible to vote for Hillary Clinton through text. I want to just make sure you understand this. Wikipedia says they were trying to frame Hillary Clinton as a warmonger. The lady literally bragged about Libya, saying, we came, we saw, he died, about how Gaddafi was killed in the streets. She was warned by top generals that a no-fly zone over Syria would be a declaration of war with Russia. They have a naval base in Tartus. She's a warmonger. You don't need to frame her for it. But even then, even with the bias, they say he promoted internet memes claiming it was possible to vote by Hillary Clinton through text. The memes are targeted at Black and Latino voters, designed to look like official Hillary Clinton campaign ads. Hold on. He posted them on his accounts to Trump-supporting followers. But I digress. They outright say they were memes. What is a meme? It says a cultural item that is spread via the internet, often through social media platforms. They can take various forms, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't make them. He promoted them. That's right. Someone else made it. He thought it was funny. He posted it, and that was it. It was a laugh. It was a joke. It was sent to Trump supporters, and they said election interference. He was convicted. They say that Mackey was arrested in January 2021 for attempted voter suppression. He was found guilty of conspiracy against rights by a federal jury, facing up to 10 years in jail. On December 4th, 2023, his motion for release pending appeal was granted by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, staying his surrender date. The court ordered that his appeal be expedited. Oral arguments were heard on the 5th of April before a panel of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals consisting of judges, blah, 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 blah. They're going to arrest you for memes. They are going to arrest you for memes. Hillary Clinton has called for those who spread propaganda to be arrested. Gavin Newsom has signed a bill saying we are prohibiting these certain things in these categories. It may be preliminary, but they have already charged convicted individuals for sharing a meme he did not make. Now they argue it looked real. I mean, dude, hold on there a minute, man. We got free speech, right? First Amendment. And they made the argument this one doesn't qualify. This is where things get crazy. You know, we had a debate last night with Andrew Wilson about what rights are. He says he doesn't believe rights exist. I do. I believe that you can argue two different ways. I try to argue a secular way as well as a divine mandate way. The Founding Fathers says we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. Easy way to put it. I think there's a reason for God-given rights, and it's that you need these things in order to be fruitful and multiply, to grow, to expand, to progress, to organize free energy. In the more secular view, I say rights are certain functions that are required for expansion and survival, and the efficient expansion and survival of humanity that emerge naturally through the evolutionary process. You can describe it however you want. The point is this: we must be able to speak. The root of why we have free speech is quite simple. It's not about speaking, it's about communication. So free speech often, as interpreted by courts, free speech protects certain behaviors and actions. Why? It comes down to the very root. I need to be able to say, look out below to someone else. Communication is a necessary function for human survival. This is why we hold these truths to be self-evident, that God has given us these rights. We need to do them. We have to defend ourselves. We have to be secure in our property. Many of the rights in the Bill of Rights are about securing our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but more simply, our ability to communicate so we can survive better, our ability to defend ourselves so we can survive better, the ability to be secure in our possessions and free from undue restriction of these rights. The Bill of Rights is basically saying you can live your life and do the things you must do to survive. If we cannot speak freely, we cannot survive. Now, I can graduate that from the obvious of, if you're out in the middle of the wilderness, you need to communicate, be it sign language, hooting, grunting, or otherwise, because you need to tell someone there's a bear coming, increases your survival. You need to be able to say there is a field of wheat just that way, several clicks. so that someone can find food. That's how we coordinate and survive better. Communication. In fact, communication in wars is extremely important. We need that ability. And so when it comes to the modern era, we don't necessarily need to tell people there's a field of wheat down the road. Some people do, don't get me wrong, but in a modern context, you need to be able to say, this politician is bad and corrupt and will destroy our lives. The threat of danger is real. Now, how does that pertain to meme sharing? We don't always convey the same ideas of support or opposition by being literal. We are not a literal people. We use humor, jokes, innuendo, or otherwise to express our ideas. And the vote by text thing was just a gag to mock. It was to share camaraderie. It was to be silly and funny because the notion is absurd. But more importantly, a Democrat woman made a video where she encouraged Trump supporters to vote by text. She faced no charges. They said, well, she didn't make an ad that looked real. No, they arbitrarily decide when you will get arrested for your memes and when your speech is criminal. We need our rights. We need them to survive. Now, we have this from the Daily Mail. Elon Musk accuses Gavin Newsom of making parody illegal as California governor cracks down on the use of AI to create fake images and political ads and videos. Elon Musk says the Joker is in charge. I mean, I got to be honest. When I was looking for the thumbnail of this, I got a picture of, Hillary and Newsom, and I found one that I was originally using, and I decided not to use it because he looked like the Joker. I got to be honest. It didn't look like you looked at it. You didn't see Gavin Newsom. It looked like the Joker without makeup on. I'm not joking. I probably should have saved it. I could pull it up for you, but it was him like laughing and scrunching his face. And I'm like, you can't really even tell that's Gavin Newsom. It just looks like the Joker. Now, I have to disagree with Elon Musk here. The Joker's not in charge. This is actually very incorrect. Elon, I hope you hear this. You are wrong. It is wrong of you to say this is not the Joker. The Joker was engaged in ridiculous, destructive humor jokes. That's why he's the Joker, right? He wanted everybody to laugh and smile. In fact, it is more likely the Joker would try to cause complete chaos by disrupting and spreading out as much I don't know, misinformation and disinformation. The Joker isn't the one going, stop the speech. I don't know. Would that be Bane, I guess? No, who would that probably be? I don't know. Luther? Yeah, I think Luther's a better villain, but there's probably much other better villains than the Joker. But anyway, now I'm just nitpicking. You get the point. The banning of memes is a very, very real thing. And I want to show you this one thing. I didn't think it was going to fit into a full segment, but I want to show you something that is absolutely terrifying. Holy crap. We just got breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa. Cops find explosives in car near Trump rally. Whoa, man. Holy crap. This headline just broke as I was pulling up my story on eating the dogs and the cats. So I think we'll jump into that next one next. Actually, you guys that are watching live, if you want to super chat or chat the general breakdown of what that story is while I keep going through these segments, that way I can read your super chats in a few minutes and we can pull that up. Let me go back to the main story before we jump to that one. But breaking news, everybody. They're saying they found explosives near the Trump rally. So I don't know what that means. Who knows? Maybe unrelated. But anyway, back to the main point of the story. This is a poll from JL Partners. More than a third of voters believe baseless claim that Haitians are eating pets. This is nightmare reality, my friends. This is why I'm just going to say it. Become a member at Timcast.com to support our work. Look at this. They say that around 38% believe it is true that in America, Haitians are eating pets. 19 say probably true. 17% say true. So it's 36%. Sorry. Then we have in my state, you have around what? You have 27% saying it may be true. And then in my local area, you have only 21. This is horrifying. We have here a video. Dustin Grage says, the Springfield city manager acknowledging on video they've heard of complaints of domestic animals being eaten in March. We have a video from a year ago of cats on a grill, and they're cats. We have Christopher Rufo's team doing the due diligence and going and interviewing these people, finding the grill, confirming people are saying, yeah, they were grilling cats. You have a video of a woman crying, saying, stop making fun of us. You don't know what it's like to wake up and see your dog decapitated. I think now we're looking at an orgy of evidence. Now, it's funny that phrase comes from Minority Report, where the inspector is basically saying when you come across a crime scene and there's photos everywhere and weapons and everything just proves your case. He called it an orgy of evidence. We don't trust that. And I think usually law enforcement just does. They say, yeah, it's cut and dry, right? The point is this. You've got videos of it. You've got reports of it. You've got this video right here. Let me play it for you.
They're being taken advantage of for reasons other than, and if you shake your head, Brian.
No. I asked me if there was proof. I just don't have proof of it. I've heard the same thing.
People that have confided in me have asked me for anonymity. I can't give their names up.
I mean, we haven't seen the proof that you're telling me. And I've heard about it too.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. He said this in March. I haven't seen the proof, but I have heard about it. Okay. This is a guy complaining to the city saying domestic animals are being taken. And the manager says, I've heard about it, I've not seen the proof. So when he's asked for a fact check, he says, we have no evidence suggesting it's true. He could have said, while there have been rumors and numerous reports, we have not seen any hard direct evidence. That ain't a debunk. Here's the terrifying reality. Most people think it's not true. Even the Daily Mail's calling it baseless. There's a video of cats on a grill. I mean, what more do you want? This is the reality of fake news. The narrative machine is lying to you. Now, I will push back a little bit on the right. There's a video that's going viral of Haitian migrants being run into vans to go work someplace. And many conservatives are saying, look at this, they're coming, they're taking our jobs. A Republican came out and said, stop, please. These were legal migrants that came here with legal visas, and there were factories that had shut down because they didn't have employees. They couldn't find the workers. They were shut down. And these migrant workers applied for jobs, came here legally, and were able to take these jobs. I got no problem with that. I think it's important we have these distinctions. But I will tell you this. The corporate press, the uniparty establishment is lying to you because they want to prop up this economic system that is failing. They need to bring in workers. They don't want you to realize that there are impoverished migrants that have turned to eating domestic animals. Here's my view of this. And I just want to say this. I said it yesterday, but I'll say it again. If you find out that Haitian migrants are eating cats and dogs, we don't know about dogs. We've heard reports that dogs have been killed. But if they're eating cats, like you've seen in the video, these guys were from the Congo, reportedly. Don't you think they need help? If I found out a homeless white guy in Chicago was eating a rat, I'd be like, get this guy some food, man. Help him out. Instead, what the corporate press does is say, it's not happening. Ignore your lying eyes and ears. It's not happening. Then they tell you they're going to ban your memes. They're going to restrict your ability to make jokes while they lie every single day. It's happening in Europe. So mark my words. It's only a matter of time before they make arguments that free speech doesn't include lying or whatever. Your speech, lying, is not protected the same way. Let me put it this way. You are allowed to lie in the sense that it is not criminal. However, if you do lie and cause damages to a person, they can sue you for damages. You see? So the government can't arrest you for being a liar because lying is still protected, but others can sue you. There are restrictions on speech. I'm not a free speech absolutist. I have never been. Free speech absolutism means you can say whatever you want because speech is word, is nothing. No, I actually think that there should be restrictions because defamation needs legal remedy. I also believe incitement to violence and imminent threats should be restricted as well. That is not the same thing as speech. The problem then becomes what is determined as a threat or incitement. And that I recognize is a serious challenge, but this is why we have judges and we need to build culture. All right, this one up there. Looks like the internet has recovered, so smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. The next segment we got for you, my friends, Trump's favorability has increased. The debate was great for Trump. Great for Trump. They want to tell you all these sweet nothings about Kamala Harris. They don't want to make the headline. Look at this. Gallup says favorable ratings of Harris-Trump remain under 50. That's a fact-based statement, but they couldn't just come out and say Donald Trump favorability increases, Harris favorability decreases. Is that so hard to do? Look at this. Trump's favorability post-debate is up. He's up 5 points. Look at that. His unfavorability has dropped by 2 and his favorability has jumped by 5. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris sees the inverse. Her unfavorability is up by 7. I'm sorry, by 6. Oh, no, I'm sorry, by 5. I was looking at the wrong one. And her favorability has dropped by 3. So we'll talk about this, Donald Trump's chances and where this country is going. World leaders fear, I'm going to say it, civil war. Indeed they do. Indeed they do. But for now, we're going to grab your super chat. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. And once again, we got breaking news about explosives being found near a Trump rally. Any of y'all watching at home who have the had the story and looked into it, if you want to super chat or chat in what that may be about. Yesterday, someone super chatted saying Israel blew up a bunch of pagers. I didn't believe it, pulled the story up, and we added it to our rotation for the show. Let's go. Tim Brackett says free speech is all speech, even if you disagree with it. Hold on there just gosh dang minute. I don't agree it's all speech. That's just me. Free speech, I believe, is necessary communication for survival, and there are limitations and restrictions. That is to say, you have a right to keep and bear arms. You have a right to defend yourself. You do not have a right to use that weapon to harm someone else. And that is ending their life. I believe it is actually reasonable to say, in a moral and just society, we recognize you cannot go to someone and say, at 7 p.m. tonight, John Smith will be in this location, take this thing and go do this thing to him to end him. That is instruction and advancement of criminal violence. And I actually agree that should make you party to a crime. 100 years ago, free speech, you weren't allowed to just say whatever we couldn't swear. American society believed that free speech was basically you're allowed to stand up and say, I believe our president is not a good man. And I believe he is leading us to ruin. Our economic policies are a disaster, and they couldn't arrest you for it. But you couldn't say, F this guy, S my whatever, blah, blah, blah. That was obscene. Nowadays, we believe that is free speech. You can be obscene. You see, we've changed things a little bit. It's a bigger debate on free speech, but we'll grab some more super chats. We won't get into the philosophy too deep because we have a lot of stories to cover. Tom Moore says, started the meme wars they have. The great meme war of 2016. That was crazy. The great meme war. Mm-hmm. All right. Scott Olsowski. The Donald Trump movie is on Kickstarter because of the Hollywood blackout. Back the project. Right on. Best of luck, sir. Nicholas Pelosi says, there is no debate about the pagers. Tell me how it's fundamentally different from U.S. Operation Eldest Son. The sabotage of enemy equipment has always been a key way to fight the wars. There absolutely is a debate. Some people are suggesting that dissemination of explosive pagers into civilian populations resulted in collateral damage. And there is a question about whether or not in war, targeting civilian populations with grenades is, there's a debate there. There's a debate, but there's a lot to get into. So I will read the comments when we get into that story. Just because I'm free says they say satire and jokes are exempted. These are the same people who can't take a joke. Yeah, that's going to go over like a fart in a church. Remember, they can't tell when Tim is joking on Twitter. That's the craziest thing. Yo, I tweeted that Kamala was Hitler and Stalin combined, but 200 times worse. And she's going to round everybody up and put them in camps. It was an obvious joke in response to what they were saying about Donald Trump. 200 times worse. I said she's going to start a 500 wars. I think I said 800 new wars. There's not even that many countries. And I guess technically you could say civil wars. So how many countries do you have? Like 190 or whatever? So even if they all went to war with each other, how would Kamala start a war between the Republic of Congo and Madagascar? Right? The United States can't be in that many wars. I guess technically it just depends on how you define the wars, but it'd be just world war. It'd be one. And they were like, oh, this guy's crazy. He really thinks 800 wars? That's, oh my. Yeah, they can't understand what jokes are. So, see you in the gulag, gentlemen. See you in the gulag. And ladies, of course, but they'll put you in the ladies' gulag. All right, we'll grab some more. Rainforest says, so since Harris's entire campaign has manipulated video clips and quotes, did Newsom just make her presidential campaign illegal in California? Aha. All right. I'm not your buddy guy says, people need to comprehend if Trump loses, authoritarianism will rise swiftly across the West. For better or for worse, we are in Canada or other Western nations are tied to the fate of America. We in Canada, sorry, which is rather unnerving for those of us who didn't have a say. EB says, I had a dream last night where you said in your show, new polls say Trump's chance of victory have gone up by 3,000%, as if it were a normal news day. Also, if you want a real Christian convo, invite Friar Josiah Trenum of Patristic Nectar Productions. Oh, okay, interesting. All right, Samuel Rice says, ghosted again, not on my feed. Well, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, they don't want you watching the Timcast. So what's fascinating is Raymond G. Stanley Jr. mentioned that they unsubscribed him from Timcast IRL. And it's like, now hold on there a minute. There are a lot of people who are like most of the fans of the morning show and the nightly show, they watch between 3 to 5 episodes per month. That's the average. What that really means is there's some people who might catch an episode or two. They're familiar with the show. They like watching, but they rarely watch. And there are a lot of people who watch every single episode with it's a bell curve, right? Average ends up being people who watch 3 to 5 a month. Doesn't seem like a lot, does it? But the fans who watch every night, never miss a show. So when YouTube doesn't recommend to someone a show they watch every single night, they're playing games. When Raymond G. Stanley Jr., who was one of the biggest fans of the show, super chatted every day, now works here running the facilities for us and is on the show, and they unsubscribe him. Oh, come on. Come on. I will say that one of the coolest things I like about this company is that we have a handful of employees who were people who super chatted to the show, and we ended up hiring them. I mean, how do you know someone actually is passionate about what you're working on? Companies have this challenge every day where, we want to hire somebody, but what if they're just here for a paycheck? And that means they're not going to do their job. They're going to half-ass it. They're going to treat us like garbage. They don't want to be a part of the mission. And I think we here at Timcast do a great job of treating people really, really well and offering great incentives and bonuses and rewards and things like that. So how do you know you're going to get someone who's going to actually wants to join the team and doesn't just want to get a passive job where they can check in, check out? I know it sounds cliche. A lot of young people are like, I don't want to work for a company that does that. Well, look, we have like 30, 40 employees. So when you're hanging out here, you're hanging out with me and everybody else. We literally will hang out and play video games. It's literally about being part of a team. The best way to know is that there are some people who just watch every episode. They understand what's going on. They're passionate. They pay attention. And that like skips the whole interview process, basically. It's like, yeah, we know who you are. We've actually heard from you quite a bit. So it's super cool. And I love that we have that here. All right. Tacti Play says, as a minor meme smith myself, I won't be labeling mine as satire. If people don't understand satire, they shouldn't be able to be online or even vote. And, I always tag my videos or my tweets. I'll put, in before pose law or whatever. Because I get it. Some people are, dude, conservatives fall for this stuff too. I tweeted, if you won't ban war, then you don't deserve anti-war votes. And then a bunch of conservatives were like, Donald Trump can't ban war. Tim, why are you turning on Donald Trump? Blah, blah. And it's like, oh my God. I was mocking the pro-lifers who were like, I won't vote for Trump because he's not pro-life enough. And it's like, okay, then vote for Kamala Harris and you can have abortions to the point of birth. That's what I was mocking. Or, guys, when I endorsed RFK Jr., I'm so sorry, RFK Jr., I didn't mean to be mean. Glad you're on the team. Big fan, by the way. But I was like, that's it. I'm voting for RFK. I was mocking Trump diehards who are like, Trump, they're making fun of Joe Rogan. And the media was just like, that's it. Tim's endorsed RFK Jr. Oh, wow. And then all of a sudden I'm on MSNBC and NBC, and they're like, people like Tim Pool saying that they won't support Donald Trump. And it's like, I never said that. I immediately tweeted, guys, I was joking. Welcome to the modern era. Jason Nixon says, Tim, I'm a 4+ year member, longtime subscriber and resubscriber, super chatter to the tune of 1K plus, and I could not find this podcast. Please broadcast this stream to your website like you do IRL so I can find it easier. It is. It absolutely is. If you go to timcast.com right now, the show is live on the front page. Again, go to timcast.com every morning, 10 a.m. Boom, the show is right there. If you can, I'll tell you this, my friends, if ever you can't find the stream, it's all of our broadcasts on the front page of Timcast.com. That means when Timcast Morning Show, Tim Pool Daily News, Timcast News is live, front page of Timcast.com. Pop Culture Crisis, front page of Timcast.com. We have Gamer Maids, which is hanging out, people here at Timcast playing video games, I believe from 5 to 7. So we've got live players on the website all day. And then Timcast IRL is live on the front page of the website. We did that because of this. We were like, people keep complaining they can't find the show. Also, we have a television app coming soon that loads up the website. You can see everything. You can watch live. We're really excited for this. It looks fantastic. But yes, it is on the front page of Timcast.com. Tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your kids, Timcast News, Timcast.com. All right, we'll grab one more before we talk about Donald Trump. Abject Fool says, debate with Andrew Wilson on human rights when? Give the people what they want. After the show last night, I told Andrew to, get in touch with Lisa for Culture War. Let's bring in some liberals. He's got some ideas, and we're going to set up a bunch of debates. But I believe I am correct. The gist of the conversation last night, I don't think went anywhere productive. Andrew Wilson's argument is that rights don't exist. We just decide as people that we'll enshrine or not enshrine certain things, that all that really exists is force. I disagree with that because I do believe there is intrinsic morality. I believe in God. I don't follow organized religion in any practical sense, but I do believe that there are God-given rights. These rights can be infringed upon. This is my view. And I don't want to take away from Andrew's argument. He's not here to defend his things, so I'll just explain mine. Rights are necessary functions for the efficient expansion and progress of humanity and all life. We recognize that there are certain things we must be able to do. As I stated earlier in the show, communication is essential for us to survive. Without communication, humans are social beings. We literally won't survive. We need to defend ourselves. If a bear is charging at you and going to kill you, and you stand there like, well, I can't defend myself. No, you can. You have a right to eat food. You don't have a right to food. You have a right to speak. You don't have a right to air. You have a right to breathe. But if certain things don't exist, nothing you can do about it. I believe God has given us these rights, and there are evil elements that seek to restrict and infringe upon them. Evil, in my view, and I will make it as rudimentary as possible, though this conversation requires hours to break down. To me, evil is ultimately destruction for the sake of disorganization, and good is organization for the sake of creation. Within good, there can be destruction. Within evil, there can be creation. If you are an evil person and you create a weapon, you organize energy into a system that is used to destroy, and you are creating more destruction, I view that as evil. If you're a good person, but you destroy an evil man, a murderer, as he was about to harm a child and kill a child, you have destroyed, but with the purpose of creation and protection. There's a greater conversation around that because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, but I'm not going to elaborate because we're going to get into the news. All right. Lonzo Harris says, breaking, car bomb found at Long Island Trump rally. You know what I think we'll do here is I don't have that story pulled up. I'm going to pull that story up actually right now, and we're going to lead with that and use that to jump into our story with Trump's favorability and polling. Oh, you see, it just did this, right? It just pulled up the. I can't stand when it does this. We're trying to have the where are we looking at? More than a third of voters say they're eating cats. No, that's not the one we're looking for. Billionaire stock market guy. This is what we're looking for. It just switches tabs on me, whether I want it to or not. I have different browser windows open as I minimize and switch to the next shows, and then it does that. It's very annoying. Very annoying indeed. But let's jump over, my friends, to this story. So again, smash that like button. We're gonna drop this in here. We're gonna say 1 like equals 1 fight again. I had to add the again to it. I might have to add again 3 times because they're saying they found a car bomb. You know what I'm gonna do too? Because this story just broke, and so I'm looking to see if there's any more information about this. It's Long Island, right? Long Island, Trump. Breaking news, explosives. This is crazy, my friends. This is absolutely insane, okay? Thousands to converge on Long Island with tight security, and they find explosives. Let's talk about this. The story is breaking from the Daily Mail. Cops find explosives in a car near a Trump rally on Long Island after second assassination attempt. The Daily Mail reports police reportedly found explosives in a car near former President Trump's rally site on Long Island ahead of his speech Wednesday evening. If it is confirmed, it will be the latest shocking security breach and comes just 3 days after a would-be assassin was arrested at his Palm Beach golf club. My friends, as this story is breaking while we're recording live, I want to try and check active news sources on X. I'm seeing numerous reports coming through on X right now, and I'll try to bring in any relevant information as this information comes in. This is terrifying. This is absolutely terrifying. We've got viral videos showing massive crowds lining up in Long Island, and now the police reporting they found explosives. I hope this is a false alarm, but let's read the news. Sources in Nassau County Police Department allegedly told One American News journalist James Lalino that the rally site perimeter was breached and a blue barrel was removed. Holy crap. In addition, during the canine sweep, they apparently found an explosive device in one of the vehicles. The sources allegedly said the driver ended up running into the woods. No one saw if he had anything on him. They just saw him take off running. A lot of cars are now parking. They are lining up on Hempstead Turnpike, just parking on the grass, even over at Eisenhower Park. They're just parking over there. The source went on to tell Lalino, according to a post on X, thousands of MAGA fans are expected to descend upon Long Island this afternoon ahead of the 7 p.m. Eastern rally at Nassau Coliseum. Again, this is breaking, so I am currently looking this up. I'm going to do a search and see if we can get the initial report from the reporter here, One American News. They say, let's grab this. It's Lalino. We are looking for James Lalino, and we'll get that. James, of course, does in fact follow me. We've got this story from an hour ago. Sources in the Nassau County Police Department just told me that the perimeter was breached and a blue barrel was removed from the area. Source said during K9, doing their checks, they found an explosive device in one of the vehicles. The driver ended up running into the woods. No one saw if he had anything on him. They just saw him take off running. A lot of cars are now parking. They're lining up on Hempstead Turnpike, just parking in the grass. Even over at Eisenhower Park, they're just parking over there. So this is the tweet in question. The breaking story from James Lalino, who is an American journalist. I hope we can get more information on this, but this is getting downright terrifying, my friends. Probably more information for you tonight on youtube.com/TimcastIRL at 8 p.m. But in the meantime, let's go through where we're currently at. Donald Trump, of course, narrowly surviving an assassination attempt in July, and I think comfortably surviving an attempt just a few days ago. I say comfortably because the Secret Service did an advanced search of the holes while Trump was golfing, and they spotted the barrel of a rifle, an SKS, and they apprehended a suspect, Ryan Routh, or Ruth, whatever his name is. I don't know. Now, many people are criticizing the Secret Service, saying, why didn't they do a perimeter sweep? I think the Secret Service did a great job here. Donald Trump wanted a last-minute round of golf. So when they went, Secret Service began doing a perimeter sweep while Trump was playing, and they stopped the guy. Many people said they should have done a perimeter sweep, but it was last minute. I do think they need more security, and they should do the best they can. But in this instance, why are we complaining? They stopped the guy. They stopped him. What's going on here with this explosives being found in this car? This is a terrifying report to be coming out right now, as this could be targeting Trump supporters. And you know what, man? I saw a clip. It was Whoopi Goldberg saying, stop saying both sides. There's only one side. Yeah, is it the left? January 6th is bad, my friends. Don't get me wrong. But what is going on here? This is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Look, I am doing this show. I produce it in the morning. I wake up, I comment, I start pulling sources. I talk about the news. I've got a story lined up for you guys about Donald Trump's favorability. We are here to talk about, do people want to vote for Trump or not? Do they like the guy or not? Did Kamala Harris improve? How was the debate? Standard American politics. And amidst my live stream, I get a breaking report that they find explosives, a perimeter breach. This is unacceptable. Violence is unacceptable. And you know what, man? We are not seeing this coming from Trump supporters going to Democrat or leftist areas. It's Antifa, it's the far left, it's violent left extremists targeting Donald Trump. Could this be a third attempt? I don't know. But let's do this. Jack Posobiec tweeted earlier today, or it may have been yesterday, but he tweeted recently, if Trump was losing, the assassination attempts would be unnecessary. The banning of memes would be unnecessary. The reality is, Trump's probably doing a lot better than they want you to think. The polls are busted. The polls are biased. I respect them to a certain degree. I do. And it's important to show that when... Here's why I say this. Because the left is going to say, oh, you don't trust polls, but now all of a sudden if Trump is winning, you do? Yeah. It's kind of obvious, right? If the polls are slanted in favor of Democrats, we say they're slanted in favor of Democrats. Trump's doing better than we realize. If Trump is ahead in the polls, we go, whoa, Trump is winning despite polls favoring Democrats? Duh. Well, here's what we got from Gallup this morning. Favorable ratings of Harris and Trump remain under 50%. Now tell me, Gallup, why you didn't just put Trump's favorability increases, Harris decreases following debate. That's the news story. They're going to say, nearly identical percentages of U.S. adults rate Donald Trump and Kamala Harris favorably in Gallup's latest poll. Now, this is important. Trump's favorability is 46 and Kamala's is 44. Trump is more favorable than Kamala Harris. I don't know. People keep saying Kamala Harris, she won the debate. Trump's more favorable than her right now. During which the candidates debated for the first time. Both candidates, however, have higher unfavorable than favorable ratings. Here's the latest news, my friends. They say use the buttons to view the recent trends. We're looking at Donald Trump's favorability, currently sitting at 46%, with his unfavorability at 53%. However, following the debate, Donald Trump's favorability has increased from 41 to 46. People saw that guy on stage and they said, I like this guy. Not everybody, not more than half, but there were 41% of people who already liked him. 5% of those said, you know what? I actually like this guy more than not. So Trump's unfavorability went from 55 to 53. So that means there's about a two point swing. That means some of the people who didn't like him saw him and said, you know what? I actually kind of like this guy. That's tremendous. 2 points is huge for Donald Trump. Now for Kamala Harris, her unfavorability is 54. She is less liked than Trump and less favorable than Trump. I mean, this is huge news, isn't it? This is indicative of Trump winning the debate. Okay, but let's talk about what it means to win the debate. There's like a viral post going around where they're claiming that Joe Rogan said Kamala did way better. She was better prepared. But I got to stop you there, Joe, buddy. No, I agree to a certain extent, but I don't think this proves preparation. I believe that Donald Trump was prepared. I believe that Kamala Harris was prepared. I believe that Kamala Harris kept her cool and attacked where she was trained to attack. Insult Donald Trump, challenge his ego. And Donald Trump walked right into it. However, it's a question of what do people prefer? And I made this point, and I think it needs to be considered, that people don't like looking at Kamala Harris sitting there with her hand on her chin like this, going, well, Donald Trump's rallies, people leave, you know. What do they like? Donald Trump saying, excuse me, listen, I'm going to fight for the economy. This is the worst administration. People are suffering. Now, don't get me wrong. When Trump says, nobody leaves my rallies, you know, my rallies are the best rallies. No one's ever left. It's like, Trump, stop. She got you. She got him there. She knew he'd walk into that one. She actually gave Trump a layup with that. When she said, well, you know, Donald Trump's rallies, people just leave. Trump could have responded with, excuse me. I don't think the American people care to listen to a debate about my rallies. They want to hear about why you don't have an economic plan. They want to hear about why you have not done anything in 3.5 years. My plan to unleash the American economy, American energy. We're going to produce oil. We're going to deregulate. Energy costs will reduce transportation costs, which is going to reduce the cost of your groceries overnight. Boom. Trump could have done it. Regardless, Trump's favorability is higher than that of Kamala Harris following the debate. Let's take a look at this. Before the debate, Kamala Harris' unfavorability was 49 and her favorability was 47. Donald Trump before the debate, his unfavorability was 55 and his favorability was 41. It's flipped. Kamala Harris went from being less unfavorable, it's a weird way to say it, and more favorable to now Trump being more favored and less unfavored. I don't like saying it that way. It's just a weird thing, but it's the reality. I think this shows. Now, favorability, what does it mean? Look, I think there are people who are going to say Kamala Harris won the debate. She won the debate. You going to vote for her? No. I like Trump better. Ah, indeed, indeed. Because people have an expectation of what a debate is supposed to look like. So when Kamala Harris says, I'm calm, I'm collected, and Trump's angry, and Trump gets angry, they go, oh, yeah, she's calm and collected. She's winning this one for sure. You going to vote for it? No, I like what Trump was saying. That's it. Winning a debate doesn't mean you won the argument. It means you presented yourself better. I think this shows that Trump won where it mattered. And the reason why Trump won't do another debate, they're going to come out and they're going to say it's because he's scared, it's because he lost. Kamala wants another debate. I actually think Trump made a good point when he said after the championship fight, the loser demands a rematch every time. He's right. Why would Trump need to debate Kamala Harris again? His favorability is up. Her polls are up for sure, but we always know it's going to be the case. I don't trust the corporate press. But I think she did earn a bit. She outperformed, indeed. But she failed to explain her economic position, and that hurts her bad on the economy. Before the debate, Trump had a net positive favorability over Kamala Harris of 16 points on the economy, and it went to like 20, 21 or 22, according to CNN. And Trump knows that is what matters. So he's not going to give her the opportunity to come out on stage and argue an economic plan and belittle Trump's. Trump knows she missed the opportunity. She may have looked better. He may have gotten flustered, but she ignored what she needed to do. Now, my friends, where we are currently at with the Silver Bulletin presidential forecast from Nate Silver, we will now see who is ahead in the polls first. Nate Silver's chosen poll shows Harris at 48.9 to Trump's 46. But mind you, we could be looking at a margin of error of around 3 points anyway. And the polls tend to favor the Democrats. We all know this. More importantly, and these are the swing state polls, mind you. This is the important polls. Let's take a look at what matters. The changes from week over week and month over month. This is worrisome for Trump, and he should pay attention to this. In the last week, Pennsylvania went Democrat 0.2. Michigan and North Carolina took a swing towards Republican. Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, Florida, Nevada have all moved Democrat a little bit. Texas and Minnesota have moved Republican a little bit. New Hampshire has moved Democrat a little bit. However, over the last month, not week, the Republicans have still seen a better swing in Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Arizona, Texas, and Minnesota. I do think it's interesting that he's including Texas in this. Pay attention to Texas, my friends. As per their model, what are we looking at? Right now, they have moved Nevada closer to a swing. Just last week, Nevada was red in the forecast model that they thought Trump was going to win it, but it's shifted. And Wisconsin and Michigan have now moved into Harris territory. They are actually now forecasting that Harris has the slightly higher chance of winning both Wisconsin and Michigan. Very bad news for Trump. Trump saw a beautiful high of 64.4% to win on September 9th. Kamala Harris had 35.3%. As of right now, Trump's probability in the Nate Silver forecast model is 56.2 to Harris's 43.5. Still very, very good news for Donald Trump. Why? He's holding on to Pennsylvania with a 15% chance to win lead over Kamala Harris. Over in the betting markets, we can see Harris is favored to win as of right now, but it's going back and forth. We don't know exactly how this is going to play out. Betfair has Harris to win. In fact, I think they all do. They all Betfair, Betson, Bovada, BWin, PointsBet, Polymarket, and Smarkets. Looks like they don't have predicted in here, but they're all favoring Harris to win with an aggregate of 51.6 to Trump's 46.7. Mind you, it is still a coin toss, and we don't know for sure. But the big story, my friends, I got to tell you, it's not about is Kamala Harris going to beat Donald Trump. It's about what happens to this country. Don Lemon says Trump needs to stop threatening democracy if he wants Kamala to stop saying he is. Peter Doocy asked Karine Jean-Pierre, you just called Trump a threat. Someone just tried to kill him for a second time. When will you stop? When it will be enough? He didn't say it like that. That's how I'm saying it. When Don Lemon is asked about this, or was presented, he says, well, it's Trump's fault. He's a threat. People are trying to kill this man. Stop. Calm down. I say this. I've definitely made sure we've calmed things down in our rhetoric and conversation about Democrats. I will tell you that I think they're bad politicians. They're self-interested. But what have I been saying over the past several weeks? The deep state wants to expand the petrodollar. They're bringing in immigrants because they want to pad the numbers. They're going to war because they want the liberal economic order. I'm keeping it straight to the facts. We don't want that. Donald Trump is correct. He wants to secure our border. He wants sound immigration policy so we can have better jobs for the American people. We can start to build up U.S.-based manufacturing, bring it back, and we have been. Better trade agreements, legal immigration, better assimilation. We want other countries to pay their fair share of NATO. I think Trump is correct on this one. Bringing in wave after wave to the millions of migrants to fill the gap in our economics it's not going to work. But you know what the problem is? Fertility in America is below replacement. And that means we cannot keep increasing the amount of jobs. So the Democrats' plan is open the gates. Everybody gets to come in. That doesn't work. You are bringing in low skill labor and mass and not high skill, high education labor. The problem then is you are only going to displace the working class of this country and you will create a massive poverty line. It will not solve the problems you think it will. We're facing a retirement managerial crisis as well. We got to do something about it. And I don't think the Democrats have the plan. So here we are. I'll give a shout out to Chris Cuomo, who says he's ashamed of how media is blaming Trump for a second assassination attempt. I called him today because I'm ashamed of how we're responding and not responding to threats on him. Cuomo's tried to have this rehabilitation. And sooner or later, he's going to earn a little bit. I mean it. I respect the call to Trump, the apology, and the criticism of the media. He's trying. I think the first thing he needs to do is apologize over his COVID lies and manipulations. But my friends, the big story, of course, is that an explosive is reportedly found at a Trump rally and a large blue barrel. We don't know what's going on with that. The New York Times reports, second apparent assassination attempt on Trump prompts alarm abroad. There is widespread concern the November election will not end well and that American democracy has frayed to the breaking point for the love of all that is holy. I would like to I want you all to imagine in your minds a man who sells tumbleweed laughing and saying, y'all laughed at me, y'all laughed at me. It's a Family Guy joke. They go to a city that's run down and been destroyed by, I think, by a facsimile of Walmart or something. And they're like, everyone's gone out of business except for that old guy who sells tumbleweed. And it's an old guy and he's like, y'all laughed at me, y'all laughed at me. And then he's throwing tumbleweed around. And then he jumps in a red convertible with a beautiful woman and he pulls up a wad of cash. And the woman says, that makes you attractive. And he's like, yeah, and then he drives off. My point is, that meme represents when someone's been saying, please, we are on track for something bad or something's going to happen. And everybody points and says, you're crazy, you're stupid. I don't know what you want from me, my friends. I don't want there to be conflict crisis in this country. I want us to be able to sit. You know what I want? I want to go to the sports book at Maryland Live. It's an amazing sports book if you've ever seen it. It's like you've got tables, you can order chicken wings, and there's just all of these. It's a massive screen, and each screen is segmented showing a different sporting event. I'm watching MMA, I'm watching basketball at the same time. We went there, we ordered wings and drinks, and we are watching, I think we watched Strickland fight. That's what I want. That is the American dream right there, isn't it? I mean, I don't mean like the American dream, but it is a great component of the American dream. We go and hang out at the sports book. When you do sports betting, if you do, I'm not telling you to gamble, play responsibly, whatever. We all know that. I'm saying you get to bet $1 and then you get to root for your guy. And it's fun to hang out with your friends. That's what we want. We don't want conflict. We don't want crisis. I want to sit back. I want to see Sean Strickland cheer on Trump, smack talk the opponent, get a good match. I like it when you know the fights I like? I like the fights where afterwards they hug, they fist bump, regardless of who won or lost. I don't like the fights where they hate each other, they're mad at each other. I like sportsmanship. These two guys enter the ring, they fight. It's a brutal fight. And at the end, they're both like, good fight. I think it's great. I love that. We put the fighting in the ring where we have rules, referees, on-site medical, Because fighting is a thing that humans do, but we control it now. I don't want the conflict in the streets. But what am I supposed to say to all of you? What is anyone going to say to me when the New York Times is now saying internationally there is fear that the United States is to the breaking point? What does that mean, the breaking point? Explain what you think is going to happen. I don't know if they actually know. They just know that whatever happens in November, our system is not going to be functioning properly. May you live in interesting times indeed. In the 9 years since Trump entered politics, the global perception of the U.S. has been shaken by the image of a fractured, unpredictable nation. First one, then a second apparent attempt on the former president's life have accentuated international concerns, raising fears of violent turmoil, spiraling toward civil war. Hey, I don't know who, but one of you guys owes me a Coke, okay? 2018, 6 years ago, I'm watching this chaos, and I said, I fear we're on a track for a civil war, man. I'm scared. I don't know. And I had everyone against me. I think most of the fans of the show, many might have been skeptical, but you guys watched and I appreciate your support. But I can't tell you how many security experts, how many pundits, conservatives, politicians were like, little over the top, Tim, you need to calm down. You're sounding crazy over here. And I'm like, a Princeton professor just said it. The Atlantic just said it. A guy just wrote a book about it. What about that is unreasonable to say that our political system is unraveling? They accuse Trump of being a traitor to this country, working as a Russian spy since the 80s. I don't think it was unreasonable. Today for you, my friends, we are looking at the second assassination attempt on a former president in 2 months. We may be looking at some kind of terroristic attempt with explosives in a car. I don't know for sure. And the New York Times now saying the international community views the United States may be headed toward a civil war. It's right there on the New York Times. After the first attempt on Donald Trump, where a bullet actually struck the man in the side of the head, and he survived, grazing his ear, it was reported that we were millimeters away from civil war. I mean, I've been warning about this, and I feel like what I wish I had more influence at the time, that more people would have listened when I said, stop now, chill out. We don't want this. But the reality is I'm just some dude complaining on the internet. That's it. I wake up, I read the news, I read the stories, and I talk about what I think, and I get a lot wrong. And the scary thing is sometimes I get things right. That is scary, right? Sometimes. I don't know what the percentage is. What I can tell you this is I use the best sources I can find. I try to fact check them and I try to get you true and correct information. You may disagree with my opinions on things because those are basically about what I think might happen or otherwise, but I can't see the future. So that means I get a lot wrong in my predictions. I think something's going to happen. It doesn't happen. Hey, I tell you this, September of last year, I said Biden will not be the nominee. He will not be the candidate for the Democrats. How could he be? And well, there you go. 7 or whatever months later, he's gone. Actually, I think it might have been 8 or 9 months later. How about that? And now the New York Times is saying the international community fears civil war. I hope you're all preparing for the worst. I hope you're all hoping for the best. The Washington Post says violent threats and attacks escalate tension in Trump-Harris race. The corporate press and the mainstream media is now warning us. We face unprecedented times. And there's fear of a civil war. So I certainly hope it's not the case. I certainly hope that Trump wins, Democrats whinge, but ultimately we see accountability. We see order, not chaos. We see law enforcement action. But I do fear for the worst. We got more stories for you coming up. We're going to talk about what's going on with the Israel pager situation, updates on the story. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all your friends. That's the way we do it. If every single person who watched this show shared it, we'd be bigger than Fox News, CNN, and all of them combined. Not kidding. Right now, live, there's 25,000 people watching. If every single person shared it, there'd probably be 100,000 people watching this show. For real. On average, they say a person has 300 followers or friends. So that's one way you can help, but you can become a member at Timcast.com to support our work directly if you like the work that we do. Of course, you can also search the news because I have filed a lawsuit against Harris for president for defamation, and that's a big story as well that people are talking about. But we covered that last night on Timcast IRL. We're going to go to your super chats. So again, thank you all for hanging out. Next segment will be at 4 p.m. and we will see you all then. For the rest of you, I got your super chats. And we'll grab a couple here before we jump to the next story. It is confirmed, reported, Israel detonated thousands, around 4,000 pagers, debate and questions around collateral damage. I'm just going to say this right now. I am not condemning or condoning with this statement, but this operation is one of the most sophisticated, impressive, terrifyingly powerful things I have ever seen. When I say that I am impressed, it is not to say that I think it is a good thing. I am saying the requirements behind this, pulling this off, it's something out of a movie. It's going to go down in the history books. But by all means, criticism is warranted. We'll get into that. But first, your super chats. A Tiger Shark says, do you ever wonder what the political landscape would be like if Trump were a Democrat? The reason Trump didn't run as a Democrat, though he could have, is because he's a billionaire. He never would have won the primary. They'd say, Bernie Sanders would say, we're not going to elect a billionaire. Trump could do well, but I don't think Democrats are going to elect a billionaire. And the left had been going crazy, so he had to go as a Republican. Plus, I believe Trump is moderately pro-life, so I don't think he could have done it. All right. Wisco says, Kamala told his reporters to go to his rally and that he's a threat. Now there's an alleged bomb found. Textbook stochastic terrorism. Indeed, she said, go to Trump's rally. Really, I want you to see them. That's kind of a weird thing to say, to be completely honest. All right. Christopher Macy says, Tim, a while ago, you wanted to find a Johnny Appleseed. Oh, what is that? I have been planting the largest urban food forest in the United States. By February, having 160 fruit trees on 15 parkways. The project is larger and could use some help. 15 parkways? What is that? That's cool. I always just say, be careful, because these liberals, these lefties are like, why don't we just have fruit trees in cities so you can walk down the street and grab an apple and eat it? And it's like, you've never been around an apple tree, have you? You've never. Oh, my friends, these people are silly people. They're silly people. You spend all your life living in a concrete block and you just don't get it. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm a country boy or anything like that, but I can tell you that we got fruit trees, and I'll tell you, there's rotten fruit everywhere. Now, I couldn't imagine lining a whole street with apple trees, because you'd walk down the street one day and there'd be rotten apples all over the ground. Anyone who's ever lived anywhere near like a tree with crab apples, so in Chicago, we got them everywhere. Yo, they're smashed, disgusting, rotten fruit all over the place. Like, nobody eats crab apples. I get it. Maybe they'd eat oranges or whatever. But in Arizona, they actually have what my friends call citrus trees. I'm not kidding. So I'm hanging out with my friend years ago, and there's this row of trees with big oranges on them, I guess. And I was like, are those oranges? And they were like, well, the locals think that it's just like a weird hybrid of citrus fruit. So it's probably like a grapefruit orange. They're not sweet at all. They're kind of bitter and nobody eats them. So they just fall off and rot. Yeah, we don't really like all that, huh? We don't like all that. All right, we'll grab a couple more before we jump into this next story. GTG Podcast has been following since 2015. At first, you were my left-leaning news. Now I listen every day. I even used your old thumbnail for my podcast about mental health to prevent vet from ending their own story. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd say moderate liberal at the time. Very critical of leftist lies. But I still consider myself to be relatively moderate liberal. The issue is what defines conservative and liberal. So if at the time I said, well, I'm pro-choice, my views on abortion haven't changed, but Democrats have become increasingly insane. My views on gun rights have changed absolutely. So that was a shift, because I engaged in many arguments. I had my views were actually based on ignorance, and it was mostly that I didn't think about gun arguments to really care. I was just like, I'm sure there's some reasonable compromise for certain background checks or restrictions or whatever. And then after actually engaging the issue and doing the research, I said, okay, yes, I think if the people want restrictions on weapons, whatever that may be, nuclear arms or whatever, you have to amend the Constitution first. If that's the case, you can't just take away people's rights to keep and bear arms. All right. Austin, says, my leftist friend just said that he doesn't trust the Daily Mail and these reports, and that the right is insane about Haitian immigrants eating the pets. The left really doesn't care. There's a video. Just tell them to watch the TikTok or the Instagram video. There's an Instagram video of cats on a grill. But people are nuts. They live in a delusional reality. Look, man, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed fact that they're all doing it. I'm saying the preponderance of evidence suggests it's more likely true than not. I look at the evidence and say, okay, where are we at? They say, I'm not going to look at the evidence. I don't want to look at the evidence. The experts told me otherwise. Nuts. All right. Bunder Hayden says, Tim, we have JB here in Illinois. He's power-hungry billionaire, and the left votes for him. I bet he could win the Dem nomination if he ran. But Trump running as a billionaire reality TV guy, there's a big difference. For one, I don't know that JB could win at the national level. Illinois, perhaps. I think Trump knew it was an uphill battle going as a Democrat and as a billionaire. But let's jump to this next story, my friends. I need to grab a drink of this delicious grapefruit spindrift first. No yerba today. No, I don't have those anymore. We are working on a protein bar company because I want a protein bar that has nothing in it. I want protein, peanut butter, coconut oil. And so we've actually got this bar with it's got 7 or 8 ingredients. You got to put fiber in it. Anybody who knows anything about protein bars, you need fiber. But these are great protein bars, by the way. All right. More people super chatting about the explosive found near Long Island. I hope to have more updates for you on that tonight at 8 p.m. But for now, let's talk about Israel. All right, here we go. We have the story from ABC News. Israel, it is now confirmed, numerous reports, is behind the pager explosions, sources say, as Hezbollah vows reckoning. I'm hearing reports that Israel is now in a state of security lockdown or high alert over fear of reprisal after 2,800 people were injured. I'm going to say this right off the bat. For this segment, for those watching, the quick version of the story is yesterday news broke. Thousands of pagers exploded, injuring Hezbollah fighters. I think, again, without condemning or condoning, it is one of the most brilliant, sophisticated, difficult military operations I've heard of. And it could be because I've not heard of the ones that are secret. But the degree of organization that Israel put into this is terrifying. It's terrifying at how powerful and wow. I am impressed, deeply impressed that they pulled this operation off and were able to plant pagers among thousands of Hezbollah fighters. Now, there are questions about collateral damage. And I'm not saying I condone what they did. I'm just saying anyone who's reasonable can recognize the sophistication of this is one of the, it's going to go down in the history books. This is going to be in the history books, I tell you. We do have a debate over whether or not this was terrorism because these detonations were happening in civilian areas. And I do think we should talk about that. I'm going to give you my thoughts as well. ABC News reports Israel was behind the deadly explosion of pagers across Lebanon on Tuesday, sources told ABC News. At least 12 civilians were killed and at least 2,800 people injured in the explosions, according to these Lebanese authorities. Around 460 of the injuries were critical and required surgery. Lebanese Health Minister Firas Abiad said, most victims are suffering from eye and facial injuries, while others suffered injuries to hands and fingers. Likely what happened is that people's pagers got an alert. They picked them up and it blew up in their faces. Now, for those that are wondering what happened, Hezbollah in Lebanon uses pagers because Israel can intercept cell communications. The idea is Israel may intercept a pager signal, but you can then use a landline to communicate with your source or whatever, and that Israel can't get access to. Apparently, Israel somehow intercepted a shipment of pagers that was headed to Hezbollah, was able to plant small amounts of explosives in all of them, and then waited a very long time. They had no idea. There are many people that are terrified as to what this means. Some are worried about whether they can buy products or whatever. Now, here's the fascinating thing I will say about ABC News. They say 12 civilians were killed. I'm sorry, you're giving me the Lebanese government line in a war. The Hezbollah militant group said it was conducting a security and scientific investigation into the explosion of pagers across Lebanon on Tuesday. I think we're going to need an independent assessment about were they actually civilians who died or were they Hezbollah militants? Because right now, if you just say they were civilians and people were injured, well, then the argument is going to be pressed that Israel was targeting civilians. But the actual reporting initially is that Hezbollah militants suffered this. Now, there is a question about whether or not we should approve of or condemn or condone detonating explosives in civilian population areas, because civilians will be injured by this. They go on to say Hezbollah said 11 of its members were killed on Tuesday, though, as is typical of its statements, they did not specify how they died. So 12 civilians were killed, 11 members. Oh, hold on there a minute. If you're saying 12 civilians died and Hezbollah is saying 11 of its members died, we're not getting 23 as the number. That is to imply the civilians listed as dead and the Hezbollah fighters are one and the same. There may be an extra civilian death. Quote, we hold the Israeli enemy fully responsible for this criminal aggression, which also targeted civilians and led to the deaths of a number of martyrs and the injury of a large number with various wounds, Hezbollah said. In a Wednesday morning statement, Hezbollah said it would continue operations to support Gaza and vowed a reckoning for Israel for the massacre on Tuesday. The dead and injured included people who are not members of Hezbollah. Lebanese officials said that an 8-year-old girl and an 11-year-old boy are among the dead. Israel has not commented on its alleged involvement in the apparent attack, which prompted chaos in the capital, Beirut, and elsewhere in Hezbollah's South Lebanon heartland. Around 100 hospitals received wounded people, the Lebanese Ministry of Public Health said, with hospitals in Beirut and its southern suburb quickly filling to capacity. Patients were then directed to other hospitals outside the region. The Iranian ambassador to Lebanon, Mojtaba Amani, probably pronouncing it wrong, was among those who had one of the pagers and was injured in an explosion Tuesday, according to Iranian state TV. The diplomat said in a phone call that he was feeling well and fully conscious, according to Iranian state TV. At least 14 people were also injured in targeted attacks on Hezbollah members in Syria, according to the Syrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Axios is reporting that Israel conducted the Lebanon pager attack. They pushed up their timeline, fearing that Hezbollah was figuring out what was about to happen. They say Israel decided to blow up pagers carried by Hezbollah out of concern its secret operation might have been discovered by the group. The attack took place as tensions rise between Israel and Hezbollah, which U.S. officials are highly concerned will devolve into an all-out war. The AP says exploding pagers in an attack on Hezbollah were made by a Hungarian company, another firm says. Get this. Some rumors indicate speculation. The pagers were made by a Taiwanese company, but Taiwan says that these were delivered to maybe a Hungarian or Bulgarian company or something else. We don't know. AP is saying it was made by a Hungarian company. Some reporting is that there was that one of the companies in question was a shell company, meaning Israel may have set up a fake company knowing Hezbollah was looking for pagers and then actually was the supplier of explosives to Hezbollah. Now, there are questions. They say, Noah, we have a super chat coming right now. Noah Sanders says, Daily Wire just sent us a story. A second Israeli strike against Hezbollah on walkie-talkies happening today. Breaking news. Holy crap. Let's grab this one. If we can get this, I'm going to pull this one up in real time. Wow. Holy crap, my friends. This is unprecedented. Also, shout out to Am I Racist? I'm such a big fan, Matt. You nailed it. But anyway. This breaking news right now, Israel detonates thousands of Hezbollah walkie-talkies in second strike. Holy crap. Wow. Look, you can criticize Israel all you want, but I'm going to say this. They are not to be trifled with. Let me just okay, look, my point is, war is bad. We don't want war. I'm just saying. I have never been more shocked by the sophistication of Israel's military tactics. I can say Hezbollah's firing rockets into Israel. I'm not going to get into this whole argument about who started what or when or why. I don't know. I'm telling you this. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Daily Wire reports Israel reportedly conducted a second wave of mass precision bombing against Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorist organization on Wednesday, detonating thousands of walkie-talkies used by the group. Quote, Israel blew up thousands of personal radios, which were used by Hezbollah members in Lebanon, in a second wave of its intelligence operation, which started on Tuesday with the explosions of Hezbollah pagers. Oh my, I mean, this, is this attack has the capability of ending operations in Lebanon. The fear, the chaos, the destabilization that could be caused by this is the kind of attack that could have Lebanon dropping to its knees and saying, Israel, please, please stop. You guys got to understand the chaos they have sown with a second attack. You don't know which devices now are implanted with explosives. At any minute, this is terrifying. Israel, if they were to claim responsibility here, could say to Lebanon, these are not the only devices. Certainly, we're not going to tell you. You are now going to have to spend tens to hundreds of millions in, you're going to go ahead right now, destroy every electronic in the country. You have no idea. They could say it's not just walkie-talkies. Israel could even say a certain lot of TVs. Israel could say, oh, yeah, the TVs you guys have in your homes. The TV could say your cell phones. The TV, they use pagers to communicate, but they may have still have cell phones. The fear and the chaos that this has wrought, it could seriously result in Lebanon just standing down. Now, like it's likely. I think it's likely to escalate, but the scale of this now with walkie-talkies, he added, the personal radios that were booby-trapped in advance by Israeli intelligence services and then delivered to Hezbollah were part of the militia's emergency communication system, which is supposed to be used during a war with Israel. Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, they detonate the pagers, leaving thousands injured. They wait. Hezbollah then grabs their walkie-talkies to begin communicating because their pagers are gone. The walkie-talkies then blow up. Wow, man. I don't like war. But I'm not going to get involved in who's deserving of what. I'm not playing that game. That is not for me. You got people posting videos of children getting hurt and all that stuff. I'm not a fan of collateral damage. But we're talking about a region at war. And all I can say is, as a military tactic, oh my God. I am absolutely shocked. This is absolutely crazy. Shout out to the super chats for sending in this story. Wireless devices reportedly exploding in Lebanon. One person appears to have been injured. I'm going to screen this before I play it, just in case, because I don't want to show anything graphic. But we do have this video that I'm reviewing right now, and it doesn't appear that there's anything. Okay, it's just I'm going to play this. I don't want to show any graphic wartime footage or anything like that, so you'll hear it, but you don't really see anything. All you really see with this video is there's people in a crowd, you hear a bang, and then you see people screaming. There's nothing graphic to stress. Israel don't mess around, dude. You have to imagine what the civilian population could be going through. I'm not a fan of collateral damage. I mean, this one is rough. Imagine you're just some dude who works at a falafel shop and outside a guy explodes. His walkie-talkie, his pager, they blow up in their hands. Gatherings, parties, done. You can't do it. You can't go to crowded events. You don't know if you're going to be standing next to somebody. And what's next? Could they have gotten a shipment of cell phones into this country with the same degree of explosives? Wow, man. Just Revenant with a super chat here. I want to make sure I get your guys' comments because this is a touchy subject. He says, it's a load of BS, use your brain, specifically only Hezbollah beepers and radios, no way. I'm waiting for reports on phones and vapes exploding. 5G wave short controlled narrative. Wow. Buff says this has to be a top 5 live show of all time for breaking news. This is nuts. We get breaking news that they find an explosive at a Trump rally. And then during my segment on the Israel Patriots, we get breaking news that walkie-talkies are blowing up. You got to watch Timcast Morning News Show, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you the news. It's actually you guys bringing it to me. It's you guys. I'll tell you this. Shout out to the viewers. This is the coolest thing I like about doing this show. You guys have super chatted on numerous occasions, breaking news, which I've actually brought into my segments. So I do my pre-production in the morning for the show, but then news breaks mid-show and we bring that news in. That's how newsrooms do it. You know, you'll be watching like Hannity and they'll be like, breaking news, a report has just come in. Wow, man. I just got to say it again. The sophistication that Israel has displayed here. Significant damage appears to have been made to a motorcycle after a Hezbollah radio exploded. Look at this. Images circulating. When is this from? I want the timestamp on this. When was this from? 10 a.m. So this news began breaking around 10 a.m. We start the show. Images circulating online purport to show communication devices used by Hezbollah that exploded in Lebanon. Wow. Explosions are reported by Lebanese media in several other areas of Lebanon, not just Dahia, suburb of Beirut. The cause of the blast is not immediately known. Oh my God. This is nuts, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nuts. We'll bring into this story before we move on, because again, we're going to have more developments on this later tonight. The debate. We have a tweet from Your Friend Wig, sorry, I thought it was it says your friend, with an Israeli flag saying, when the people you're killing joyfully dropped a missile on 12 kids, then yeah, you feel bad for collateral damage, but it's better than the alternative. Jim Garrity says, I think feel bad for collateral damage is all I'm looking for. Eye-opening. How many people deem that a functionally pro-Hezbollah or anti-Israel position? But people deem that a functionally pro-Hezbollah or anti-Israel position. I like that. Ben Shapiro responded, this was the most targeted mass anti-terrorism operation in history. The entire strategy of Hezbollah is to hide among civilians and generate sympathy to pressure Israel to stop operations. Of course, we should sympathize with civilians and realize their deaths are on Hezbollah. I find it hard to disagree with Ben. I really do. I'm not a fan of war. I'm not going to play any stupid games about who's deserving of what land or what or otherwise. This goes back thousands and thousands of years. But I got to tell you, when these organizations, these militant groups, literally place their personnel and their weapons and their rocket sites in civilian areas, knowing that it puts those of good conscience in an impossible position, I don't blame the people that are trying to stop the violence. I blame those who are starting the violence. That being said, I still cannot condemn nor condone the use of the tactic by Israel. I am not an expert enough on these issues. I can tell you I don't like civilians dying, but are we going to be so naive to think that in a war zone where weapons are being launched from civilian areas into civilian areas, this is not the case? We are gentlemen in the West. This is true. We have war crimes because we seek to be gentlemen. And I mean that in a literal sense. Gentlemanly combat. We seek to limit the amount of civilian casualties. We are literally trying to aim for the hand. But I want you to think about this. There is a man and he is perched, ready to take aim at the president, which has happened recently. And you would be told by the left, shoot him in the hand, shoot the gun out of his hand. These people have never fired a weapon. They've never trained you to do that. They always say, aim for center mass to stop the threat. We don't want anyone to die. We don't want the violence. But in any practical one-on-one combat situation, you can't aim for the hand. Here's the reality of war in densely populated civilian areas. If they're firing rockets from civilian areas, there's no aiming for the hand. They're holding a child in front of them as they shoot at you. And it puts people of good conscience in impossible situations. It's tough. I don't know what to say. I mean, there's greater implications philosophical that I can't answer to. I don't have the, I don't know. I mean, civilians being terrorized. Many people are saying it's terrorism. Civilians can't go to crowded areas now. They're terrified. Their cell phones could explode. What do? Now, Ben says it's the most targeted anti-terrorism operation. Hezbollah is a terrorist group, a terrorist organization, according to the United States. And this, by all reports, was specifically Hezbollah pagers and walkie-talkies. And there was collateral damage. Ben says we should sympathize with civilians, but the deaths are on Hezbollah. I don't know how to disagree. If a person takes a human shield and then in the process of ending the conflict, the person who's a hostage, we don't blame the police. We blame the criminals who took the hostage that resulted in their deaths. I know there's a lot of people who just want to hate and blame Israel, and are not here to condone anything Israel does. I'm just saying in a broader sense, what I don't know. I'm not the person for that. I'll tell you that. I can tell you that I often seek de-escalation, but I can also tell you that Israel's in an impossible situation. I think Israel has a right to exist and has a right to defend themselves. I think that's true. I largely just don't like being involved. And my bigger fear out of all of this is that the U.S. is just attached and entangled to Israel's conflicts. I fear that this will drag us into a greater conflict that I don't, as an American, want to be involved in. I think most of you would agree. I wish there were easy answers, but I just can't give them to you. Bassem Youssef, he says, and suddenly my phone, our security system, my kids' tablets are time bombs that detonate at the whims of one country. You win, Israel. Not a single politician or late night show host talks about this. None of that worth the news. Nothing funny can come out of it. He says, they don't talk about this. Nothing funny can come out of it. The whole country is truly a hostage. The world is. Bassem Youssef, Jonah Goldberg says, our? We know that this was targeting Hezbollah, militants. This was military equipment that was targeted. Hezbollah chooses to stand by civilians. I don't like that these things detonated in markets. That stuff terrifies me. Absolutely does. I wish I had better answers for you, my friends. I wish I had much, much better answers for you. But I can tell you, I believe in America. I like the United States. I believe that we are required to be gentlemanly in all affairs conflict, and that means it is much harder to be the good guys. It means we do not bomb civilian targets. It means we condemn Barack Obama for the targeting of Yemen civilian restaurants and the killing of American citizens. It means that we lament the death of civilians in conflict and crisis. I'm sorry, though. I think there's an unfortunate reality that should two nations engage in a conflict with each other, regardless of who you think is right, civilians will die. And when Hezbollah fires rockets into Israel and civilians die, do we have the same degree of outrage? Do Americans? I just say this. People in war fight each other and civilians die, and that's why war is bad. But I'm not so naive to think that war is just averted. I can only say this. I would be a fool not to recognize that the Hadith tells people of deep Muslim faith that they have to wipe out Jews. I don't know. I mean, that was in the Hamas charter. They removed it, but nobody believes that they've done away with that belief. You've got religious war, is my point. People who are not going to back down. And I don't have any good answers on this conflict for you, and I never will. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. It will thankfully be a bit more fun and funny, more cultural and domestic. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Become a member by going to timcast.com and clicking Join Us to support our work. You can check out the news about my lawsuit against the Harris for President campaign for defamation. It's all over the internet. But we do need your support if you appreciate that we are standing up for ourselves and would like to assist. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next segment at 6. For everybody else, we'll grab some more of your super chats before we jump to the latest update from Rotten Tomatoes and Matt Walsh and I Am Racist. I got to tell you, man. Over 1,000 verified ratings, all 99%. Rotten Tomatoes certified gray. They will not update this there's more reviews. Matt Walsh has addressed the controversy as well as the tactics used. And I think the tactics warrant a conversation. And so we'll once again jump into this story because not only am I a big fan, but I think this is important considering the success of what Matt Walsh and Daily Wire have been able to do here. All right. Patrick De Niro says, excuse me, Tim. Here in Colorado, Asian families collect the crab apples, and I am always jealous to see the family activities. An ex would make great foods with them. I'm saying in Chicago, nobody does, and they're all over the ground rotten everywhere. However, I have seen people make crab apple jam because you can eat them, but they're little crab apples, and nobody really crab apples. They're everywhere, and they're rotten, and the squirrels go nuts. All right. Sparky says, Tim, what do you think about the idea of purposely being sloppy at hostage rescues to ensure the death of the hostages so they will no longer be an issue? I don't know if I believe that. That sounds too much like comic book villainy. Look at the sophistication of Israel's attack with the cell phones and the pagers. I mean, it is surgical strikes in one of the most insane ways. It is precision needling of Hezbollah targets. I'm not going to believe that they're just like intentionally killing hostages or letting hostages die or intentionally being sloppy. I don't think that's the case. I think that's too assumptive. It makes too many assumptions. All right. Joe Spinell says, really nothing new using beepers and such as a tactic. Russians would hide mines and bombs in Afghan toys during their occupation. War crimes are laughable. Also not a war crime the first time. I'm just saying, not that it's new to plant bombs, but to have a shell company to intercept shipments, to plant explosives, disseminate all of these things, wait idly. I mean, it's crazy. Kyle says, this show is basically crowdsourced pay to promote breaking news cycle. Now, that is brilliant monetization. Love it. Yeah, when the news breaks, you send $5 and there you go. Imagine if you're watching Fox and you super chatted, hey, Hannity, this thing happened. And imagine Hannity being like, we got breaking news from PP Poo Poo 420, who I think that's an actual user who super chatted the other day, who says that Donald Trump has just given a speech. Let's pull this story up. Hey, we're paving the way for the future. You ain't got nothing on us, Hannity. We got the audience sending the news for us. All right. Uncle Sam says, wait till they use this tech on MAGA. Don't think they wouldn't. That's terrifying, man. Terrifying stuff. The White Trash Panda says, with groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, there's no telling who's civilian and who isn't. And that's a challenge. But I can say this. Look, watching a video of a pager explode in a market where a guy's buying oranges, there are civilians there. However, we are dealing with a new generation of warfare, and it can't be denied. By all means, criticize Israel if they're heavy-handed, whatever. I don't care. That's fine. But I'm telling you, the goal of Hezbollah and Hamas and many of these militias is to blend with civilians intentionally so that when they engage in combat, it forces the enemy who strives on being gentlemanly to engage in actions that result in collateral damage. They are using our morality against us. And it's terrifying. I don't want civilians to die. We don't want civilians to die. So what do you do when they launch rockets from a school or a hospital? There's no answer. They put us in an impossible position using our morals against us, our goodwill, just like wokeness. Just like wokeness. Hi Q says, how do these Israelis know the pagers are not in any other countries right now? They don't, but it is possible to isolate the signal that detonates them into only certain areas with certain towers and things like that. Yeah. All right, we'll grab one more. Nightbro says, look at the story and then ask yourself where your cell phone was made. This is all the more reason why manufacturing needs to come home and why we need to be able to open our phones. It used to be very common that you could pop the back off and pull the battery out. Then they decided to make all cell phones solid, so now we have no idea what's inside of them, and you can't open them. You can break them open, but most people don't have the ability to see that. Back in the day, when cell phones had removable backs, you could change the battery. I was able to go in the back and look at various components, understand where the antenna was. We were building cooling systems. Now you have to crack them open, and it's much more difficult. Repair people know how to do it, All right, my friends, we're going to jump to this last story here. Matt Walsh's Am I Racist? It's getting reviews. It's doing well. But we're gonna jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have the story, the media blackout over Matt Walsh's Am I Racist, with questions about the tactics used. The media boycott continues. Rotten Tomatoes is obscuring and hiding. Wait till you see this. There's a reason why I wanted to jump back into this story. We covered this yesterday. Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, the popcorn meter of audience is verified hot 99% with 1,000 verified ratings. I cannot tell you. Look at this. The Babadook over here has 98%. The Matrix is 83%. Transformers 1 has 90%. Howl's Moving Castle, a Ghibli classic, 87%. As you may know from the segment I did yesterday, I am jealous of the Daily Wire's production on this. They have done so well. It has inspired me. I wish to produce something as well as they did. I have no notes, meaning they nailed it with this film. You can see it with 1,000 verified ratings, and they have no tomato meter. It's blank. When you go to the front page, the top 10 box office, you can see all of these, and you've got God's Not Dead, gray. Am I Racist, gray. Rotten Tomatoes is rigging the game to manipulate the reviews. Now, don't get me wrong. Reagan got splat. It's rotten. Killer's Game, rotten. Alien Romulus, 80. But where's Am I Racist? God's not dead. Now, don't get me wrong. They say this new this week. Agatha All Along has no rating. They have all of these things that have no ratings, but these are new without review. Am I Racist currently does have, I believe, 7. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reviews. What's happening is the corporate press is not reviewing it. But I'm going to pause real quick. Let me just put it this way. So here is all critics, right? What do we got? Film Week, KPCC. They say fresh. Jeremy Johns, fresh. Matt's Movie Reviews, Film Threat. These are the critics, right? Here's the Wall Street Journal. Jason L. Riley says, Matt Walsh's hilarious new film asks, am I racist? His documentary exposes the DEI industry by letting practitioners discredit themselves. Is this not a review? Is this not the Wall Street Journal publishing something? They don't include it. I am absolutely unsurprised to see that this is where we're at. Look at this. Beetlejuice has many critic reviews, but here's the other interesting thing about this. When you go to Am I Racist, not only are they showing no tomato meter, despite having 7 reviews, all fresh, this should say 99%, which would be the top film. When you go to critics reviews, it says 0, despite there being 7. And on the front page, it is top 10 box office. Where are the legitimate movie reviews for this? Now, the bigger question, indeed, however, is that some of the people who are reviewing it, we have this from the Carolina Journal, which was not included. I mean, look, you've got numerous outlets reviewing this. It's more than 7. This is another point. Rotten Tomatoes is playing a dirty game here. There are more than 7. I got Wall Street Journal and I got Carolina Review. That's at least 9. And I could pull up way more from various websites. Take a look at this. Am I Racist? They say Hollywood in Toto counts. They say Movie Guru, Jeremy Johns. They say these things do count as critics and reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, aside from the fact the corporate press, the mainstream entertainment industry won't go near this, is intentionally lying and hiding this. I'm going to tell you why I'm passionate about this before we go into tactics here. Because Matt Walsh says many people have asked how it's possible that our new film hasn't been reviewed by a single mainstream critic. I want to read that as well as his discussion on tactics. But I want to say this. Aside from being a huge fan of the success of this film, the structure of it, Matt Walsh is hilarious. He did a great job. I have never been a bigger fan, Matt. This is amazing stuff. I can't praise you any more than I already did. We released a song, several songs. We have a song coming out next week called Coming Home. We here at Timcast and Trash House Records released a song called Only Ever Wanted. Instantly, it gets millions of views overnight, hits Billboard charts. And when we had a PR company reach out to various entertainment outlets saying Pete Parada of The Offspring and Tim Pool collab on new song Only Ever Wanted, they said, F you. The responses that we got for a song that was breaking records, that was selling, was number 1 on iTunes, that charted on Billboard. I think we were like number 2 in sales because we had like Tiny Dancer, Elton John or something beat us. But we hit all these metrics. Charting on Billboard, first release, big breaking news. One of the top podcasts in the world and live shows has just released a hit song. And we got things like F you, MAGA Chud, F you, Trump cultists go away. These were journalists at the corporate press, entertainment industry telling us they would not review the song or even write about it hitting the top of iTunes because they didn't like us politically. This is what we are seeing now. Matt Walsh's film is not only great in exposing the DEI grifters, it's exposing what many of us already knew. The entertainment media industry has been rigged the whole time to make sure that they maintain hegemonic power over cultural endeavors. They have no problem insulting something that if we make it, it's not good. They'll say it was bad. Everyone agrees. But when it's a smash hit and they know it, they lie. Matt Walsh is chiming in. Many have asked how it's possible that our new film, Am I Racist, hasn't been reviewed by a single mainstream media critic, even with a 99% audience score, verified hot rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and a top 5 box office debut. Here's what's happening. Beginning in mid-August, we reached out to dozens of mainstream outlets offering an early screener of the film. That includes Time, AP, IndieWire, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, New York Times, New Yorker, and many others. We followed up to virtual silence. We did, however, receive a flurry of unprofessional emails from independent critics who were enraged we'd even asked them for a review of the film. One of them wrote that he won't waste any professional time on a movie opening in over 1,500 theaters because I was involved, saying, "Bwah ha 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 ha, absolutely not. Hardest decline. I will not waste a second of my professional time on Matt Walsh." Another critic stated, "You'd have to strap me to a chair like Malcolm McDowell to get me to watch this thing." Another wrote, "Ew, take me off this list." After it was clear Am I Racist was a hit, Variety attempted to cover for this oversight with a claim the Daily Wire did not screen the movie for critics. We asked them to correct this. They have not. They still haven't posted a review, but I hope they do. I can confirm for a fact that the Daily Wire team reached out many media personalities with screeners for review. Libby Emmons on Timcast IRL watched an advanced screening of the film. The Daily Wire does their PR. They know what they're doing. And I also work with a PR company that I also believe it often works with Daily Wire. We send out messages with professional, hey, here's what we're doing. And look, man, I got to say, what they're doing to Matt Walsh, they did to us when we released music. But I will stress, the success of this film has just been a egg in the face of these people. They wanted to reject it and deny it. 1,517 locations, top 5 box office. I think it was number 3. And they're lying. These people are evil. He says a few other mainstream outlets have since requested screeners, but have yet to publish a review. One major mainstream outlet even acknowledged we had attempted to get them an advanced screener, but said the film had slipped through the cracks. Lies. This isn't a mistake. You'd be hard-pressed to find another film that opened in greater than 1,500 theaters that was completely snubbed by mainstream critics. If Am I Racist were terrible, these outlets could have reviewed it and trashed it, but the reality is they're afraid of it because it's genius. The film does not preach. Matt Walsh does not say, these people are stupid. Matt Walsh says, I want to be a diversity counselor. I'm going to get certified and I'm going to do the work. And they take you through all of these people's ideas and they are insane. He says, Am I Racist has been so successful precisely because we didn't churn out another safe, predictable Hollywood-style film. If you haven't watched the movie the mainstream critics desperately don't want you to see, you can get your tickets now at amiracist.com. One last thing. Rolling Stone was one of the first outlets to request a screener for review after the movie was announced back in July. They've yet to post a review, which is a bummer because I'm looking forward to theirs most of all. And then he shows you this from June saying, today Rolling Stone ran a hit piece about What is a Woman, calling it transphobic propaganda. The funny thing is that we sent screeners to the writer of the piece, and we can see that he watched 0% of the film before arriving to this conclusion. Bravo, gentlemen. Now, the tactics are also a big part of the question. Robin DiAngelo, who is a DEI grifter, seems to imply she was defrauded, making broad implications without saying outright she was defrauded. Matt Walsh says, as there's a lot of conversation about today, I will say one more thing about the methods we use to make Am I Racist and What is a Woman before that. We're trying to expose the so-called the so-called expert class, our self-appointed moral superiors who impose their doctrines on us from on high. Some conservatives have expressed discomfort with the fact that we use deception to accomplish this goal. I don't think that's the right word to describe our method, but I'm not quibbling about that right now. The better question is this. How else can these people be exposed? Sure, you can make your arguments, present your opinion, explain why these people are full of ish, but doesn't expose them. Not in the way Robin DiAngelo was exposed, or the professor in WI8 and What is a Woman, or any other unwitting co-stars in our films. You can't expose them unless they come down from their perch and open themselves up to it. These people will never do that intentionally. They will never knowingly make themselves vulnerable. So what then? Either we throw up our hands and let them hide behind all of the layers of intellectual protection they've set up for themselves, or we use more innovative and maybe even ruthless means to lure or drag them out from behind that wall. That's what we've done with our films. And once we have them, we let them embarrass themselves and we laugh at them. It's not the nicest thing, but niceness is a luxury we don't always have. I think it is nice. I think Matt Walsh said, would you like to explain yourself on camera in a documentary? And he said, yes, I would. And he said, okay. That's the master, the genius of this film. And What is a Woman? Though Am I Racist is, I got to say, it's 100 times better than What is a Woman. And What is a Woman was good. He simply sits down and says, tell me more. I don't want to spoil it because you need to see it. You really, really do. It's funny. But one point I will give you is when he's talking to him in the very beginning, and she says, you got to talk to your children about this. She goes, I have a 4-year-old who, she wants to be a princess, she gravitates towards the white princess or whatever. Matt Walsh is like, yeah, my daughter likes Moana. And for Halloween, she wants to be Moana, but then it's cultural appropriation. So, if she wants to be the white princess, then it's white supremacy. But if she wants to be the Pacific Islander or black princess, then, that's cultural appropriation. There's no answer. That's the point he makes. And the woman's like, yeah, there's literally nothing you can do. No matter what you do, they call you racist. There is no answer. There is no way out. The point of this is to make sure that no matter what happens, they can sell their grift at the corporate level. You're a DEI grifter, imagine, right? And you get a call from an office. They say, someone dressed up as Moana, but they're white. Oh, no. Harassment alert. That's racist. Better send me in, otherwise you're going to get sued. Then we had a bunch of people show up today, and they were all dressed like white princesses. Why aren't they celebrating diversity? We're getting complaints. Uh-oh, white supremacy, better call me in, no matter what they do. So I'll tell you this. Yesterday, I did cover this, but, seeing that, I couldn't believe it today when I woke up and I saw that they still have left Am I Racist, which is a top 5 grossing Hollywood film in over 1,500 theaters. This is absolutely insane. It's a top 5 film. It is massive. It's profitable. It's got a 99% fresh score from the audience with over 1,000 verified reviews. And they are blacklisting it. So I tell you this. We have a song coming out next week called Coming Home. We're getting it all set up and ready to go. The music video is, we're rushing as hard as we can to get the music video done. And the song is about the degradation, the degeneracy, in and of our cities and these places that we remember so fondly. And so, I certainly didn't make anything as massive and successful as Am I Racist? And we'll see y'all next time. We'll grab a couple more super chats. Everyone's saying F. Damn it, internet. Well, we're beginning to. I'm seeing all the chats saying F, but on my end, everything seems to be looking good. So clearly, something is weird. And then we're back. There's some banjo, strings, and then at the end, when Pete comes in with the heavier drums and the heavier guitar, Phil takes the vocals over. It is an honor and a privilege to have a song with Phil Labonte, and as he is a well-renowned rock star. And so, Phil, eternally grateful for your friendship, support, and advice in all this work. Really excited for the song to come out. And I will say this too for you, Phil. Never in my wildest dreams as a kid would I have believed that I'd be, producing a song with a rock star such as yourself. And it means a lot to me. It really does. I'm really excited for the song, and I appreciate all the support we got from you guys. The internet has begun crashing, but we are just about time anyway. So we'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. YouTube.com/Timcast. We need a couple more smashes of that like button. We'll break 10,000 for the morning show. Share the show with your friends. Great stuff coming. I'm feeling like I might do weekends again. I feel that I have a moral obligation and duty to begin working every single day of the week once again. I say, why not? So I got a feeling that'll be the case. We'll see if my family gets mad. But again, thank you all so much for being members, for supporting our work. Follow me on X at Timcast. Become a member at timcast.com to support us directly. I suggest you look up the lawsuit that I have filed against the Harris campaign for defamation. People are talking about it now. And we'll be back tonight. Thank you all for hanging out. We'll see you all then.